From the horse that can read, count and calculate, to the octopus that has 3 hearts and 9 brains, here are the animals with incredible mental abilities. Dr. Amanda Seed, a professor at the University of St. Andrews, knows that the cognitive abilities of monkeys are remarkable. But to reach more tangible conclusions, and to get a better idea of their reasoning abilities, she decided to conduct a very simple experiment. Her aim was to find out whether or not monkeys could form abstract notions about the objects around them. She and her team presented capuchins, bonobos, and chimpanzees with 2 boxes containing 2 strings, one of which was torn and the other led to a piece of food. The monkeys were able to grab the piece of food without difficulty, choosing to pull on the unbroken string. But when the box was covered, the results were more mixed, as it is easier for them to infer things from what they see than to learn an arbitrary rule. But the results of this experiment were enough to show that some primates have almost the same understanding of the environment as infants. However, there are many areas in which the ape, particularly the chimpanzee, surpasses the child and even the adult. For example, the ability to orientate in space, as demonstrated in the virtual maze experiment. If you have already seen our previous video on this subject, you will know what this fascinating, honey-loving, aggressive and intelligent animal is capable of: the rattle. Let's say you're a bit skeptical and know little about this species of badger. You're just asking to hear the reasons why this animal is unique in the world in so many ways. After watching documentaries and reading several pages of scientific literature, you can form an idea about the cognitive abilities of the rattle, and we would be right to assume that you are very surprised. For the rattle, despite its small size, is not only an animal that inspires fear in the largest predators, but it is also very intelligent. Able to combine reasoning and use various tools to solve complex problems, the rattle impresses many people, including scientists. If you are delighted to discover all the qualities of the rattle, on the other hand, you will be a little disappointed to know that it is somewhat threatened in some African countries, including Niger and South Africa. Not only does it attack livestock and attract retaliation from farmers, but its passion for honey also causes a lot of concern to beekeepers, who use strong methods to keep it away. But basically, the rattle is a good fellow, despite its snarling nature, and it can even make a good pet if it is raised from a young age. It is not for nothing that neuroscientist Lori Marino said, "We need to change our opinion of pigs. Pigs are not held in the esteem they deserve. If you think they are disgusting, inept animals, think again." To correct the generally unflattering view of pigs, try to find out about the unsuspected cognitive abilities of these despised animals. You will be surprised. You may prefer to read about lions or Komodo dragons, and you may be reluctant to expand your knowledge of pigs, but you are not alone. Scientists are also turning away from cows and pigs to study more exotic animals. Once you have finished reading, you are likely to be impressed. You will have learned that pigs are the most intelligent animals on a farm. They have a remarkable memory, can combine abstract ideas, and are very self-aware. What's more, they are clever and generous, and they can successfully play a game of video games, as a 1997 filmed experiment in the United States attests. But then you realize that the treatment they receive is worse than you thought. For example, males are painfully castrated, their teeth and tails are cut off when they are young, and sows are imprisoned in cages so small that they cannot do anything but stand up and lie down. So, will you continue to say, "stupid as a pig," and other unfair expressions? The Gabanese Gray is the best talker of all parrots. It is found in West Central Africa, and since ancient times, its charm and sharp tongue have made it the pet of choice. If you want to own this parrot, which is very popular in France and Belgium, and see all the amazing tricks it can do, you will need to pay between 700 and 1200 euros. Once at home, you work hard to train it with great care and patience. With time, you are amply rewarded. Your gray parrot is very attached to you, and often asks for you, as he is emotional and does not like to be alone. He is a charming conversationalist, and he has shown you more than once his sagacity and sense of humor. Indeed, he is as intelligent as a 5-year-old and can express coherent words in appropriate situations. But if you live in a flat, your neighbors will not be as happy as you are. The Gabanese Gray is not necessarily noisy, but it sometimes hisses, screams, and vocalizes. And you should know that the vocabulary he learns the fastest is the insults, because you simply say them out loud. Tone plays an important role in your parrot's vocabulary learning. It is an endearing animal, and there is no doubt that you will fall under its spell. Among all marine creatures, there are few as interesting and mysterious as the octopus. Those animals that are ghosts as well as monsters, as Victor Hugo said. The intelligence of the octopus is truly amazing, and its prodigious anatomy has a lot to do with it. Many experiments reveal the high cognitive abilities of these marine beings. For example, Off the coast of Indonesia, the octopuses that want to protect themselves from seals and sea lions, their predators, are not lacking in imagination. Indeed, they have been spotted collecting coconuts discarded at sea by humans, which they then dug out to curl up in and make an impenetrable shelter for themselves. They are safe in this exotic shell. For the rest, they can rely on their extraordinary anatomy. Octopuses have 9 brains and 3 hearts, are able to camouflage themselves and even imitate the movements of other animals. They have an extraordinary sense of spatial location and can easily find their way out of a maze. But since the legend of the Kraken, which dates back to the 18th century, octopuses are no longer seen as sympathetic animals as they might have been in antiquity, for example. On the contrary, literature, and to a lesser extent sculpture, have turned this animal into a nightmarish monster. Of course, this is far from being the case in reality. In fact, octopuses are rather shy. However, when they are not intimidated by the presence of humans, they become friendly and playful. All divers say so. The horse is one of man's best friends. Known for its speed and capacity for empathy, this animal also has highly developed senses, and is even capable of counting. At least that's what Wilhelm van Osten saw at the beginning of the 20th century. In a time when horses were considered stupid and good only for racing, this man firmly believed otherwise, and he wanted to prove it to the world. Wilhelm owned a black-coated horse which was later nicknamed Hans the Evil. For 4 years he taught him arithmetic, reading, music, and how to say yes and no with head movements. In addition, he taught him a whole system of body expression, without ever administering a single lash. Instead, he spoiled him with treats. Later, his enterprise succeeded. The public flocked to see the incredible feats of the horse, which could count, calculate, recognize colors, answer questions, identify musical notes, all through various hoof movements. Hans the Evil became known in Germany, then in Europe, then in the United States. But so many miracles made psychologists and scientists skeptical, and they soon discovered that Hans' brilliant reactions were in fact conditioned by the imperceptible gestures of his owner. Indeed, the horse reacted instantly to almost invisible movements that it saw in its accomplice. For example, the dilation of the nostrils, or a tilt of the head. From all this, it appears that if the horse is not a brilliant mathematician, at least it has marvelous perceptive gifts. It receives and processes a lot of subtle and complex information in an extremely short time. Hail to Hans the Evil! Of all the animals that inspire hatred and repulsion, none can rival the rat. Unjustly accused of spreading the plague, this little animal is, contrary to popular belief, very intelligent and, above all, extremely altruistic. The rat has a very good memory and an excellent sense of direction. In new places, it can easily find its way around thanks to a network of interlocking passages, which it can remember for a long time. Thanks to its sense of smell, its vibrissae, and its visual capacity, it easily finds its food. And it knows in advance whether it is good or bad for it because even before it is born, the rat fetus has discerned the beneficial foods ingested by the mother. In addition to these sensory qualities, rats are very generous. In some experiments, for example, a rat may sacrifice itself to free a caged rat, or a group of rats may share pieces of chocolate with the rat that has just had a bad experience. Their extreme discretion, their tenacity, and their reputation as disease carriers mean that they are persecuted relentlessly, and indeed, the pest control sector is growing in France. However, rats are not exclusively pests. They play a useful role in the processing of human waste. In Paris, they devour around 800 tons of waste per day. The raven is the generic name given to certain species of black-plumaged corvids. This fascinating and enigmatic bird has always led a quiet existence, as it has never been hunted by humans because of its unpalatable flesh. Crows are extremely intelligent, and they have not shied away from demonstrating to scientists their ability to adapt and plan, comparable to that of children and monkeys. In Sweden, a group of crows was the subject of an experiment that was supposed to corroborate the idea that these birds are very good at adapting to unfamiliar situations and, moreover, that they can even anticipate them. The test consisted of giving each crow 2 objects. One is an attractive object for them, and the other is a simple token which, when inserted into a machine, will give them a better reward later on. After a short learning period, the crows chose the token over the attractive object 9 times out of 10. An additional and more complex test then consolidated the impressive results of the first. The scientists offered them a token, a toy, and a special reward, and although they were spoilt for choice, they chose the token, with the same success rate. The conclusions of this study are clear. Crows are animals with an amazing sense of foresight. Not only do they know how to use a tool, in this case, the token, but they are also able to refrain from satisfying their cravings immediately. While this experience, and many others, attest to the formidable intelligence of crows, the fact remains that they generally have a bad press in the West, and even in the East. For example, in the Muslim tradition, this bird is nicknamed, son of misfortune. Another superstition claims that a raven falling on the roof of a house is an omen of impending death. The reason for this dark reputation is quite simple. On battlefields, crows feed on the corpses of soldiers, as they are scavengers. Therefore, they are associated with ruin, destruction, and lost souls. But that doesn't mean that their intelligence has been tainted, and everyone agrees. And rightly so. Their cognitive prowess is superior to that of our closest cousins, chimpanzees and bonobos. That's the end of the video. Don't hesitate to tell us, in the comments below, which of these highly intelligent animals impressed you the most.